Hey guys, Poke Universe here with my episode review and analysis for the episode Rocknaldo. Now, I know, before this episode aired, we all thought it was just going to be, a filler episode, an episode, where, we weren't going to really think about it. Now, I just want to talk about this really quick because I know many people are here because of that and they're probably going to be really upset. But let's just think about it, guys. I mean, we all knew this episode before yesterday, it was going to be a filler episode. So, of course, and many of you don't know, yesterday, the day before Rocknaldo was actually going to air, Cartoon Network tweeted out on their Twitter, Facebook, and Tumblr saying that if you don't know who this gem is, and you're seeing the picture right now, and it said if you don't know who this gem is, they prepared for tomorrow's episode of Rocknaldo. Now it showed a gem which was green and had some either blood or some red spattering on it, and we thought this was probably going to be a gem called Bloodstone because it kind of looked like that stone, and the way it's shaped and formed looked just like it, and we would just assume that. So many theories came up and saying of how Rocknaldo, maybe the episode was going to be how about Ronaldo actually finding this gem, and something related to a new gem, which of course, as it turns out, it was just Ronaldo, him being a new crystal gem. But I'll talk about this in a bit. But just I know many of you guys are disappointed of how this episode was just filler, and how it was not a really important episode. I do have to agree though how Cartoon Network did hype us up for this episode, and even though them trying to hype us up by saying a new gem is actually going to join us, and actually kind of pranked us by telling us how it's just Ronaldo, and that was kind of messed up what they did. But let's just actually continue with the episode review because there's actually some good details of this episode that made it a pretty good episode. So as we start the episode, we have to of course go to the beginning. So Steven's still getting used to coming back on Earth because even though these episodes of when he went to space to get his dad and everything, it might have been a long time ago for us, but this is still kind of new to Steven. Like I said in my other episode review for Storm in the Room, every new Steven Universe episode that happens is basically just one day later. So probably when this episode aired, Rocknaldo, in the Steven Universe timeline, it was probably maybe just a week, maybe even less than a week before before Steven went into space to rescue his dad. So he's still of course nice and happy and used to coming back home after going to space. So he sees Ronaldo holding up signs about protect yourself from the menace of Beach City, and how he talks about rock people. So we do know, of course, that Ronaldo seems when we first saw him, that he seemed like a crazy person. He just thought he looks like one of those people who would just talk about conspiracies and how the stuff like this is wrong and yada yada yada, which you can believe in aliens or whatever like that, but smart people have analyzed what Ronaldo has said, and many of the things that he said is true. He's talked about the Diamond Authority. He's talked about the diamonds. He's actually talked about many things like snake people and how they could actually be related, which we don't know yet. But he's actually talked about many things about the gems, the crystal gems, homeworld, and many stuff like that that actually did turn out to be real, and we found out in future Steven Universe episodes. So there's many things that he talked about in this episode, that Steven said in the episode when he read the pamphlet. One of them being that he said they hate men, rock people hate men. Now, when Steven went to complain to Ronaldo about this, he said that the crystal gems are not rock people. Who are they fighting are the rock people. So he's basically saying the diamonds and the gems from Homeworld are exactly the rock people to him. So this is kind of a different concept, but just picture this. The rock people are the diamond authorities and the gems from Homeworld. The crystal gems are the crystal gems to Ronaldo, since he actually does know about them. One of the things he talked about the rock people, which like I just said, is of course either the diamonds or the gems in Homeworld, they hate men. Could this actually be true that they actually hate men? We don't actually know about this, since every single gem that we've seen out there is female. Of course, we got our pearls, we got our amethysts, we got our garnets, we got our rubies and sapphires. They're all females. Even the diamond authorities are of course females. We don't know what's the reason why they hate men, or do men even exist in Homeworld? We don't even know about that. We could possibly even think that there's probably a war between Homeworld. There's probably a Homeworld for maybe just women, and there's probably a Homeworld for just men. There's many things we still don't know about Steven Universe, but I feel every time we see Ronaldo's theories and stuff like that, some of it does come up to be true, or actually, you know, something that we actually know about or are gonna find out in the future. So him saying that they hate men and not something like men don't exist makes me to believe that there's probably two separate sides to like Homeworld. There's a side where there's only men, and there's probably another side maybe far away from like Homeworld with women that's actually just men. Another one that he said was that they're contaminating our water. So we haven't really seen anything about this. So it could be possible that, you know, either Homeworld has some scanning devices, or like they infested our water, or maybe he's talking about how Lapis Lazuli like took all the water. That one episode literally a long time ago when Lapis Lazuli was still considered to be evil, how she took all the water and how she put it back. Maybe Ronaldo's thinking that when the water did return, it got contaminated in some way. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. We don't know 100%. Now, that's some of the secrets and things to keep in mind in this episode, which I found really interesting. The rest of the episode didn't really seem interesting, but I will of course talk about it. But like I said, this episode was of course just basically filler. As we thought of yesterday, how Cartoon Network said that this episode might be really good and it really hyped us up. We were of course wrong, kind of upset. I'm upset. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys are really upset because of what Cartoon Network said yesterday in their tweets and Facebook and etc. And you know, when you saw this episode, were you upset because like what they said yesterday and how like, man, this was not an episode of what I was thinking. Thanks a lot, Cartoon Network. Hey, but don't blame of course the Steven Universe creators like Crew Universe. Do not blame them. It was Cartoon Network of course that said all these tweets and set this out. They're not the ones. The Crew Universe were not the ones who talked about this, who even, you know, said that the episode was going to be amazing tomorrow. It was all Cartoon Network. So please don't blame like Rebecca Sugar or any of the creators of this. Thank you. But Ronaldo just really wants to know more about like the crystal gems and like Homeworld and like what they do and that kind of stuff. So, you know, when Steven tells him so many things, to the fact that Ronaldo even thinks he's a rock person, like example, of course, you know, either a Diamond Authority or like a gem from Homeworld, he starts to question him. But of course Steven does tell him more about the gems, because of course Steven knows more about the gems than Ronaldo himself. But of course Ronaldo does know some things that even Steven doesn't know himself. Like of course when I said they hate men, Steven didn't like this. He thought it was an insult, but like I said, it could be potentially true. But Steven knows more than Ronaldo, I would definitely say. So of course he does tell him, you know, some of the facts, some of the truths. And because of this, Ronaldo decides to delete his blog and like actually join the Crystal Gems. Now don't get excited. This isn't like a permanent thing. This isn't something, you know, like that isn't supposed to be meant as seriously. This is more of kind of like a joke. Ronaldo was serious, of course, of joining the Crystal Gems, but of course, as you would know, he's completely human. It would never work out. But then Ronaldo, like him, well, technically he was a crystal gem. You know, the gems were okay with it. Even Steven was okay with it. But Ronaldo didn't really act like a crystal gem. Like, of course, we see the crystal gems, Garnet, Amethyst, Pearl, and Steven to act serious when it comes to, you know, fighting battles and, you know, for the honor of protecting Beach City and the whole planet. Ronaldo basically acts like more kind of like of a person who shows off. Like he wants to show off his powers, he wants to know who he is exactly, and he feels more confident of what he is, even though technically he really isn't a crystal gem, or a gem even to begin with. So I guess the whole point was kind of like the Crystal Gems and Steven to kind of explain to Ronaldo how, like, you know, how Crystal Gems should act. Because, you know, Ronaldo, the whole entirety of this episode, especially the part when he joined the Crystal Gems, was that he was mainly a jerk. Like he even said himself, he was Jerknaldo, because, you know, he wasn't really acting like a real Crystal Gem, and because of this, you know, he wasn't a Crystal Gem anymore. They kind of kicked him out and decided not to be a Crystal Gem anymore. And he wasn't really Crystal Gem material. Of course, he doesn't have any weapons, he doesn't have a sword. Like, of course, Crystal Gems, they don't need sleep. And Ronaldo tried to act like he didn't need sleep as well, even though in the end he really did need sleep. And, you know, being a Crystal Gem would just not work out for him, and of course it didn't work out for him. So of course he wasn't a Crystal Gem anymore, and he decided to go back to blogging and that kind of stuff with, of course, the gem people and all that. I'm not sure if he still believes in those conspiracies or not, but I know he still tries to research and know more about gems out there. It was really interesting to find out his new pamphlet when he got that Photoshop of him and Pearl. It's pretty, you know, nice to see. You know, it was actually an actual PNG of Pearl. So like literally, if you go to Google right now and just write like Steven Universe Pearl or just Steven Universe Pearl PNG, the first picture you would find is literally that picture you see in the pamphlet, which I thought was pretty funny. But But you know, otherwise than what I said in the beginning, this episode was of course filler and nothing really to talk about. So this basically wraps it up for me, guys. But like I said, what do you think about this episode? Did you enjoy it, or did you feel like it was going to be a filler episode, but you know, Cartoon Network kind of made you feel it was going to be an important episode, but in the end it wasn't? I definitely am kind of mad of, you know, Cartoon Network, you know, saying that it was going to be kind of an interesting episode, but then, you know, the end finally gets a filler episode. But of course, it's still a Steven Universe episode. I enjoyed it no matter what. It was a great episode in the end to me. Of course, not the best episode, but maybe the worst episode. But when I get my opinion on the worst episode, by that I mean it wasn't really great episode material. So that is basically it. Thank you so guys for watching my video. Before I end this video real quick, I actually want to say, if you guys are interested in Loot Crate, we're having a special offer where you click the link and use my promo code below. You guys can get an actual real Loot Crate for free with the purchase of one. That's literally like a $30 value, guys, free with just the purchase of one. So like I said, just use my promo code and link down below if you want to use Loot Crate. Thanks everyone. I'm Poke Universe. Peace out.